Hello dear student, my name is Devashish Padhi, Faculty, Department of BCA, Chikati Mahavidyalaya. This is the second class of your online class. In the first class, we have already discussed about introduction of software engineering, what is software, what is engineering, what are the characteristics of software engineering, and today we will discuss what is generally SDLC method. SDLC method means software development lifecycle model. Software development lifecycle model means it is a diagrammatic representation how to develop the software. There are different steps for developing the software. SDLC process describe the diagrammatic representation of developing the software. There are different lifecycle models are there. Classical waterfall model, iterative waterfall model, prototype model, RAID model, spiral model. So all these models are the diagrammatic representation for the developing of software. Whatever process model we can adopt, all the process models follow the same principle, same rule and same regulation. So what is, in one line we can say that SDLC is nothing but the diagrammatic representation for developing the software. Okay, then what is the need for a software lifecycle model? The need for a software lifecycle model is if we do not follow any lifecycle model, then the software is not a discipline manner. Software is not a discipline. Software is not developed in a systematic and disciplined manner. When a software product is being developed by a team, there must be a clear understanding among the members about when and what to do. See, when we develop a software, only one people never develop the software in one day. For developing the software, there must be a team is present. Team means consists of one or more peoples. One or more peoples developed the software in a year-wise manner. So for managing the team and when what to do, so we can adopt one process, we can adopt one model. This is the need of software lifecycle model. Suppose a software development problem is divided into several parts and the parts are assigned to the team members. From then on, suppose the team members are allowed to the freedom to develop the parts assigned to them in whatever way they like. It is possible that one member might start writing the code for his part, another might decide to prepare the text document first, and some other engineer might begin with the design phase of the part assigned to him. This would be one of the perfect recipes for a project failure. A software lifecycle model defines entry and exit criteria for every phase. A phase can start only if its phase entry criteria have been satisfied. So without software lifecycle model, the entry and exit criteria for a phase cannot be recognized. Without software lifecycle model, it becomes difficult for software project managers to monitor the progress of the project. So what is need? For example, the software is divided into different modules, and different modules can be assigned to different peoples of the team, and every team is allowed freedom to develop whatever they want. So one programmer might want to first design the software, another programmer want to document the software first, another programmer first try to code the software first. So there is no principle is there, no rule is there. So there may be a chance for failure of the software. So for disciplined manner of development of software, always every team must follow a life cycle model, that is known as software life cycle model. Software life cycle, if we follow software life cycle model, there must be one entry phase and one exit phase. Let us consider, we can take an example, waterfall model. In waterfall model, the entry phase is known as requirement analysis and last phase is known as maintenance and implementation. So all the team must follow this model to develop the software. So there may be no chance for failure of software. That means, in a single word, if we say, if we adopt one life cycle model, then there is some discipline for developing the software. If we want to develop a software in a disciplined manner, in an engineered manner, then we must follow one software life cycle model. So what is software life cycle model? Software life cycle model, or SDLC model, is nothing but the diagrammatic representation of the model. Diagrammatic representation means there are some steps that must be followed by any software engineering team, and the need for software lifecycle model is for disciplined manner, for engineered manner. If we want to develop the software, then we must follow any lifecycle models. Okay, so this is known as need for a software lifecycle model. So there are different software lifecycle models are there. First one is known as classical waterfall model, iterative waterfall model, prototypic model, evolutionary model, spiral model. Okay, so these are the different life cycle models. So first we discuss classical waterfall model. See why it is called as waterfall model. Now the diagram itself represent a waterfall. A diagram itself represents a waterfall. Like a waterfall, the water falls in a phase-wise manner. Okay, so the diagram it also look like a waterfall. So this is known as my waterfall model. The entry phase is known as my feasibility study, and the exit phase is known as my maintenance phase. Okay, so what are the different steps and what steps are the feasibility study, requirement analysis, design, coding, testing and maintenance? We will see one by one. So first we will discuss what is classical waterfall model. The classical waterfall model is the theoretical way of developing a software. Okay, but all other life cycle models are essentially derived from the classical waterfall model. So in order to be able to appreciate other life cycle model, it is necessary to learn classical waterfall model. See, classical waterfall model is not used in a practical way, so it is known as a theoretical way. But all the other life cycle models like iterative waterfall model, okay, iterative waterfall model, prototype model, evolutionary model and spiral model must follow the classical waterfall model. So first we will study the classical waterfall model. Classical waterfall model divides the model into these number of steps. First is feasibility, requirement, design, coding, testing, maintenance. Okay, so we will discuss one by one. What is feasibility study? The main aim of feasibility study is to determine whether it would be financially and technically feasible to develop the product. See here, these two words are important: financially and technically. What is the meaning of financially and technical? Financial means whether my software is financially strong or not. That means finance means cost. For developing the software, cost must be required. How cost is important? Now, sir, whenever I am developing the software, we require some peoples, we require some computers, we require some internet connections, we require some rooms. Okay, for all this we require some cost. So first, cost must be decided before developing the software. So in the feasibility study, the discussion is how much cost is required for developing the software. Okay, technical means the programming language, the database must be previously decided. Let us consider my software requirement is Java programming and Oracle database. So that must be previously decided by the team members. And the most important thing is, according to the programming, according to the database, specified number of peoples must be hired from outside. Let us consider if I develop the software in Java programming language, so we must hire peoples, Java peoples from outside who are technically strong in Java programming language. We must hire some peoples from Oracle database who are strong in Oracle database programming. So this is known as technical. So before going to develop a project, the project must be financial and technical feasible to develop the product. Okay, so this is the main aim of feasibility study. So what the important factors going on the feasibility study phase? So in the feasibility study phase, the project must be financially and technically feasible. Okay, cost must be there, number of technical peoples must be appointed, must be hired before the development of the project. Okay, at first, project managers or team leaders try to have a rough understanding of what is required to done by visiting the client side. They study different input data to the system and output data to be produced by the system. They study what kind of processing is needed to be done on this data, and they look at the various constraints on the behavior of the system. So see, whenever the customer want to develop the client want to develop the software, he must go to a company who can develop the software. The company can develop the software. So after that, the company members, the team members or the team leaders must visit to the client side. Why the team members, team leader visit to the client side? Now the team members must decide what is the requirement of the client. What are the different input and how the input is processed to give the output. So before going to the software, the team members, the team leaders must go to the client side. In the client side, they decide what are the number of requirements, what are the different inputs, what are the different outputs. They must be decided there. Okay, and that requirement must be specified in a document. That document is known as Software Requirement Specification Document, SRS document, and we will discuss SRS document clearly in the later on chapter. But the requirement must be specified in a document. That document is known as my SRS document. After that, they have an overall understanding of the problem. They investigate the different solutions that are possible of the problem. Okay, then they examine each of these solution in terms of what kind of resources required, what would be the cost of development, and what would be the development time for each solution. After examining different problems, then they decide cost, development time, and number of people. These things are important. What is the cost for developing the software? In how many times the software is developed? Let us consider in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 6 months, 7 months. and how many peoples are required for developing the software. Based on this analysis, they pick the best solution and determine whether the solution is financially or technically feasible or not. They check whether the customer budget would meet the cost of the product and whether they have sufficient technical expertise in the area of the development. Whatever we have already discussed in this line, the main aim of feasibility study is financial and technical feasible or not. Financial means the client must meet the cost, or the team members, software team members, have sufficient technical expertise or not. So these things must be discussed in the feasibility study phase. Feasibility study means whether the project is financially and technically feasible or not. The next phase is requirement analysis and specification. Requirement analysis and specification is divided into two categories. First is known as requirement gathering and second one is known as requirement specification. What is requirement gathering? Now whenever we can develop the software, first ever we will gather all the requirements. Okay, so the goal of requirement gathering activity is to collect all relevant information from the customer regarding the product to be developed. The software team must go to the client side, and from the client side they collect all the relevant information. They gather all the relevant information. This is done to clearly understand the customer requirement. What is the requirement of the customer? Whenever we develop a software, we do not need to develop the software as per our requirement. Always we develop the software according to the customer requirement, so that the customer can satisfy whenever they can use our software. Okay, the requirement analysis activity is begun by collecting all relevant data regarding the product to be developed from the users of the product and from the customer through interviews and discussion. How can they collect the relevant information? Now, by interviews and discussion. By discussing different aspects of the software, they can gather the information. For example, to perform the requirement analysis of a business accounting software required by an organization, the analyst might interview all the accountants of the organization to ascertain their requirement. For example, we can develop a software for business accounting software, so that the development team must go to the accountants, the clerk side, and ask them what are the need to the clerk. Whatever the system they can develop in pen and paper, that must be computerized, so that the development team must go to the accountant staff. Accountant staff means clerk staff, and collect their need and maintain the need in a specified document. That document is known as my SRS document. Okay, the data collected from such a group of users usually contains several contradictions and ambiguities, since each user typically has only a partial and incomplete view of the system. Therefore, it is necessary to identify all ambiguities and contradictions to resolve them through further discussion with the customer. Okay, this is known as my requirement gathering and requirement specification. Next stage is known as my design phase. The goal of design phase is to transform the requirement specified in the SRS document into a structure that is suitable for implementation in some programming language. What is the main aim of design phase? Now, whatever the requirement gathered in the previous stage, that must be specified in the SRS document. This SRS document must be implemented some programming language. That is the main aim of design phase. In the design phase, there are different diagrams must be drawn. The diagrams may be the class diagram, the diagram must be the object diagram, the diagram may be interaction diagram, the diagram may be sequence diagram. We will discuss later on chapter what are the different diagrams present in your design step. Diagram means how to develop the software. what are the different entities are there, what are the different functionalities are there, how the transition from one function to another. All the things must be described in the design phase. Okay, and two distinctly different approaches are developed, that is known as traditional design approach and object oriented design approach. Traditional design approach means it consists of structured design approach, that may be the programming language like my Fortran language, COBOL language, or C programming language. Okay, object oriented programming language means it consists of objects, classes, abstraction and polymorphism, this type of features, like you're using C++ and Java programming language. After the design phase is complete, the next phase is coding and unit testing. In the coding and unit testing, here the programmer must write the code to develop the software. That code is known as my source code. That code is known as my source code. Each component of the design is implemented as a program module. The end product of this phase is a set of program modules that have been individually tested. So what is the main aim of coding phase? Whatever we can gather in the requirement analysis phase, whatever I can design in the design phase, that is implemented in a specific programming language, whatever the language may be, and this is the main aim of coding phase. And what is the outcome of coding phase? One full-fledged programming model. After developing a full programming model, that program module can be unit tested. What is the main aim of testing? Testing means finding out the errors or verifying the errors present on the programming module. Before implementing the software in a real life environment, we must test the software so that all the errors, all the unwanted things must be removed. During this phase, each module is unit tested to determine the correct working of all the individual modules. All the individual modules must be correctly worked. It involves testing each module in isolation, as this is the most efficient way to debug the errors identified at this stage. All the errors must be debugged. Next phase is known as integration and system testing. See, in the unit testing phase, all the modules, whatever may be developed, that must be unit tested. Unit tested means they are separately tested. After separately tested, all the modules can be integrated together. Integrated together means all the modules must be combined to develop a full-fledged model. This is the aim of your integration testing. Next, system testing means it is divided into three types: alpha testing, beta testing and acceptance testing. Alpha testing means it is the system testing performed by the development team. Whenever we can develop the product, that product may be tested by the development team, and that is known as my alpha testing. If my software is tested by the customers, that is known as my beta testing. Acceptance testing means this testing performed by the customer itself, then that is known as my acceptance testing. Always remember, the main aim of testing is to find out the errors. The last phase is maintenance and implementation. Maintenance of a typical software product requires much more effort necessary to develop the product itself. Whenever we develop the product and implement the product, after year on going on, we can maintain the software in an easy way. Maintain means correcting the error, okay, improving the implementation, portation of the software. Let us consider I can develop a software now. After 2 years, the software requires some maintenance. Software requires some maintenance means software requires some type of advancement. So some type of advancement must be there. So this is known as maintenance, correcting errors that were not discovered during the product development phase. Whenever we develop a product, the product, sometimes there may not be some errors while developing the product, but after some day the error must be found out, and that error must be corrected in the maintenance phase. improving the implementation of the system and enhancing the functionality of the system according to the customer requirement. Porting the software to work in a new environment. Let us consider we can develop a software in Windows operating system and Pentium processor. Later on, it requires that the same software must be run on Linux and Celeron processor. So that maintenance we can give to the client side. So this is the requirement of the maintenance stage. First one is correcting errors, second one is improving the implementation, third one is porting the software. Okay, so this is known as my classical waterfall model. What are the different steps? The different steps are known as my first one is known as feasibility study. In this stage, okay, whether my software is financially or technically feasible or not. What is the requirement analysis phase? All the requirement that must be needed to develop the software that must be gathered in the requirement analysis phase. And the requirement analysis phase, the software, all the requirement must be present in the SRS document. Whatever requirement present in the SRS document, that must be designed in the design phase by some diagram like class, object, interaction and sequence diagram. In the coding phase, source code must be written for the program. Okay, testing phase, finding out the errors. Maintenance phase, the software must be maintained in the specific way. Then the last one is, what is the drawback of this classical waterfall model? Drawbacks of classical waterfall model is, whenever we develop this software, let us consider I am in the coding phase. Let us consider some problems are in the design phase, so we cannot move backward to the design phase. Okay, so we cannot move to the previous stage in this classical waterfall model. And second one is, after fully completion of the feasibility study, we can go to the requirement step. After fully completion of the requirement stage, we can go to the design stage. After fully completion of the design stage, we can go to the coding phase. That means after completion of the one stage, we can go to the next stage. Second drawback is, we cannot move backward to one stage. That means if during the testing phase there may be problem in the coding stage, so we cannot move back to the coding stage. So this is all about my classical waterfall model. Okay, so this is all about my classical waterfall model. See you in the next class.